Hi, this is Guy Busick, and you are listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I'm going to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, on to the film review. I'll just announce my theme real quick, and then Brian can announce his pick for the theme. I chose 2024 as my theme. We're going to be reviewing movies from 2024. Just because, like when we mentioned, we did our top 10, I just thought, all of us did. 2024 was just such a good year overall for horror movies. Like, don't get me wrong, there were some duds, some stinkers at the bottom. But, man, I legitimately could have made a top 15, top 20, and I think they could have all been like sevens, like at the bottom. Yeah. Like, I think it was just a really good, deep year. We did a few last year already, but we're going to be doing all month of 2024 horror movies. We're kicking it off this week with Brother Brian's pick. Brian, you announce your pick and why you picked it?
Yeah, I picked Abigail, and I ranked this number 2 on our 2024 movie ranking show that we did for last year, like we talked about it. I love this movie. Friend of the show, Guy Busick, and writing partner, Steven Shields. Listen to Guy's interview, don'tgoouthere.com. We tried to get him on a third time, actually, but he couldn't fit us in a schedule. But they were in their fucking bag writing this, in my opinion. Like, it's a fantastic blend of comedy and horror. Every one of these characters is well written to me. Every single one has their time to shine, either comedically or otherwise. I love vampire movies. So couple that with 2 of my favorite writers and directors in Matt Bettinelli and Tyler Gillette of Radio Silence, Melissa Barrera, who I think we've said before, Nico and I had the pleasure of meeting her. She's one of my favorite people on this planet. Like, she is so damn nice. And I did not realize it was kind of a remake of Dracula's Daughter from 1936, but it's just very well written movie. And obviously that's why it's going to get a high score from me.
Yeah, Abigail is one of those movies that didn't make my top 10, but it would have made like a 15 or 20 or whatever. I think the movie is just fun. It's nothing that I take too seriously. It's nothing, it's not one of those movies that like make you feel some type of way or think anything deep, but it's just something you can put on and just have a good time. Like the cast is really good. They have great camaraderie. There's a lot of laughs. The gore is good. I think it's just a fun time. Dustin, what about you?
Yeah, so I remember all the complaints about the trailer spoiling the twist, but I'll be honest, I had forgotten that it was a vampire movie. Like, I saw the trailer, but I didn't pay it much mind. And I was on the Regal app to see what movies were coming out this upcoming week. And I was like, oh, a new horror movie called Abigail released. I'll go see it. And man, I was so delighted. I love this movie. It's so fun. Kevin Durand, I've said it multiple times, but he stole the show from me. I thought he was the funniest one to me personally. And I'm glad you picked it because it was on my list to pick. I had it ranked number 4 of my favorite horror movies of 2024 when we did that bonus episode. And I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, and you brought up the marketing. Like, this is the perfect example of marketing ruining a movie. Like, for some people, like a twist, it's kind of like Trap, where it tells you the twist in the trailers. Although again, if it's a remake of Dracula's Daughter, that would kind of ruin it in the name too. So maybe I'm being hard on marketing, but I think it would have been badass to not know about Abigail at all and watch it live and just holy shit whenever twist comes.
And so I kind of got to do that because, like I said, I didn't really pay attention to the trailer and I'd forgotten it by the time I would see it. But
Right.
you could have made a trailer that just centers on the abduction of a little girl.
Yeah.
And then show, it'd have to be the Red Band trailer, but show plenty of blood and have, guns being pulled on people and just leave it up in the air. We don't have to know. You could make a very, very sufficient trailer without showing that she's a vampire. Idiots.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah, I watched a Dead Meat kill count a couple times, and he kind of thought like, how can like you really pitch this movie without spoiling it? But like, I agree with you guys. Like, I feel like they could have just shown a little bit of the abduction. Like I would keep this as a short trailer as well. Like, you show the abduction, you show them in the room, you don't see Abigail's face or anything, but you just see the host the kidnappers just start freaking out. Like, what is she doing? What's going on? Then you cut it. Like, I feel like it's a good cliffhanger. I feel like you could have won an audience in that way. But anyway, any more opening thoughts before we jump into the scene by scene?
No, I didn't know there was a Dead Meat kill count. I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's fun. There's some cool behind the scenes as well, Brian. I think you'll appreciate. Dan Stevens, I think he's my favorite character in the movie personally. But there's this one scene where he kept fucking with Melissa Barrera over and over, calling Abigail a different name. Like, like when he goes into the room without his mask on and he goes to her, like he keeps calling her a different name and like Melissa keeps cracking up over and over. It's funny. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray just so I can watch the behind the scenes. All right, let's get into the scene by scene. Film starts with a little girl dressed as a ballerina going on stage and dancing as title card and opening credits roll. Joey pops a sucker in her mouth and gets in the SUV with Frank and Peter. Sammy, Dean, and Rickles hack into a camera system and post up, ready for a top-secret operation. Abigail is chauffeured away in her Mike Settle mobile as Frank is texted that the dancer is on the move. That joke doesn't hit as much because Mike's not with us right now. But anywho, Joey, Peter, and Frank make it inside the tiny dancer's home as the Settle mobile pulls into the driveway. Frank sternly tells Joey it's a kid and walk if you want to walk. They hide out, but Abigail hears a creak in the room. She plays it off until she's ambushed. She stabs Frank with a pencil until Peter seizes her and injects her in the neck. Another car arrives on the scene, and they make it out the house with Abigail. Shit hits the fan as an alarm goes off and lights turn on. They make it into the getaway van just in time. Joey checks her pulse, confirming she's good, and they blindfold her. Dean is driving with skill to avoid cameras as they make it out the city. They make it to a giant mansion in the middle of nowhere as Lambert tells him to get the girl locked up and tells the rules again. He tells Joey not to worry about who the girl is, except she's the daughter of a very rich man who will be 50 million poorer soon. Lambert takes their phones as Lambert gives them all names they can call each other. He leaves and says he'll be back in 24 hours. The crew enjoys the pad with drinks as Dean says, you got to be in some shit to make that kind of money. Dean tells him he knows how to read people and assesses all of them. Joey tells Frank he used to be a detective and takes the $100 bill from him. Peter wants in on it and offers $100, and Joey says he's muscle after being bullied. Sammy comes for money and only does this for the kicks. Rickles is a Marine and Dean isn't a professional with loose wiring. Frank calls her a junkie and not to fuck with him, so Joey goes to check on the girl. That's the opening set of scenes. What'd you think, Brian?
Yeah, I have a lot here on this set, so bear with me. But, we get Easter eggs right off the bat from Guy and Steven. Abigail's music is the same from the original Dracula. I think it's the Kronos Quartet by Philip Glass, if I'm not mistaken there, so don't quote me on the name, but it's definitely from the OG Dracula. Also on the gate, the original Dracula symbols, and even Melissa Barrera's real name, Annalisa Cruz, which translates to cross, and is both a character from the novel and Van Helsing. Those are cool little Easter eggs to me. Peter is my favorite character, though. Like you said, Dustin, I love Kevin Durant anyway, but him basically being the dumbass muscle, very reminiscent of his character in X-Men, The Blob. I know Nico and Mike have seen that. But this may be a hot take. My favorite role of his, Little John in the Robin Hood remake in 2010. I don't know, man. He just cracks me up here. Him and Frank. Dan Stevens and his dry sense of humor Guy wrote for him is it's perfect for me. Catherine Newton, is this her second time on the show, I think, besides Freaky? But
yeah, I think so. I know we're going to do the babysitter eventually, but we haven't yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
She's not in The Babysitter, though. That's Samara Weaving.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind.
I feel like Catherine. I feel like we've had another movie
I
with her
feel
in
like
it.
I just said this actually, so I felt like she was on something recently too, but maybe not. Maybe we're just talking about Abigail.
Paranormal Activity 4.
I don't know if that was it. She was in that though. I love seeing her as a different type of character for her. Like, I don't know how believable she is in this role, but I don't even care. Like, it's one of those things where it's still fun to watch her in the role, believable to me or not. She just doesn't ooze like badass tattooed computer hacker, really. And yeah, you know what? I don't care. We meet Giancarlo Esposito, who is playing a bad guy. Like, what? No. Tell me that's not true. That never happens. And this scene where he's taking up their phones, it's like first period middle school or something. It made me think, like, you're all supposed to be bad guys and nobody has a burner phone? Come on. Reminds me of all those 80s cop movies where the bad guy only takes one gun and we all know the good guy has another gun. But I don't know. That's just where my mind went. Kind of ironic, too, that Joey's kid is in the background of her phone that she doesn't call him with. The betting scene used to basically introduce us to all the characters. I thought that was very smart. A very smart way to do that without showing us all these flashbacks. And I don't know if any of you have this later, but all the cast pretty much got to give their own characters their own backstories. You know, kind of made them each feel unique. Little James Cameron with Aliens-esque there, like you did with the Marines. Loved Angus Cloud and his guessing everyone's stuff, and you think that's the story until Joey hits them with, wow, you're totally wrong. R.I.P. Angus Cloud in real life as well. He passed away from a drug overdose in 2023. A lot of our listeners probably know him from Euphoria and that pretty famous bathroom scene with Sydney Sweeney. But anyway, R.I.P. to him. Barrera killed it in that scene, in my opinion. And I don't know if this is what Dustin was referring to when he said that he didn't care for the dialogue a whole lot. But to me, all of this back and forth, I think felt great. And the last thing, I loved the Rat Pack reference and that nobody got it. I loved it. Great opening.
And then you mentioned the characters or the actors getting to come up with their own backstories. Kevin Durand actually suggested that his character be from Quebec so he could use his real accent, which he had never done before. So that was kind of cool. I like the open. We get two moving parts, a little girl dancing ballet and a group of ruffians who are clearly up to no good. One of whom is, of course, the late Angus Cloud. But man, I can't be the only one that thinks this. He would have crushed a Mac Miller biopic. Like, absolutely bodied it. So
Yeah.
RIP to him and Mac Miller. And the comedy, it's present early on when Dean asks Sammy if she's got a boyfriend. Like, I laughed. Just the way he said it and her not paying him any attention, that was great. It really, and I mean really, bothers me that Joey doesn't have her hair pulled back inside the house. She has it, just down with a baseball cap on. No shot a real kidnapper would take the risk of leaving hair behind like that. So I don't like that. Another thing I don't get is that if she is who she is, why was it so easy to kidnap her? Oh, it's kind of, we're going to find out. But when you're watching it, it's like, watch it, because I didn't remember the trailer. So after I rewatched the trailer, then rewatched the movie, I was like, wait a minute, why would that not set off a red flag? That it was easy to kill her or get her. I'll forgive it though, because if she killed him in the room, the movie would be 8 minutes long. Some of the dialogue, in the movie is very cliche and generic. I texted you guys that I didn't like the dialogue. A lot of the dialogue, it's not all bad, but like, no names, you know the rules. But the movie's fun enough that you overlook that. When they get to their destination, we see Gus Fring himself, DGOT alum Giancarlo Esposito, who of course made his first appearance on the show when we covered the absolute classic film Maximum Overdrive. But his dialogue is pretty terrible, especially the whole "my lovely pack of rats." I don't mind that he named them after the Rat Pack, but I don't know, something about that is like, people don't talk like that. I did get a good laugh when Peter asked why they can't use their real names. And then after getting scoffed at, he goes, "You asked the same thing in the van." Like, he's so funny.
Sold him out.
When Joey's reading everyone's backgrounds, it's really funny. But again, I just didn't think the dialogue was very good. I don't know. It didn't seem natural to me. But it's an entertaining open, despite the dialogue.
Joey goes into Abigail's room and she asks what's happening. Abigail asks to have the blindfold adjusted. It's really tight. She adjusts her handcuffs as well and tells Abigail they're holding her hostage to get money. She assures her they won't hurt her if the script goes to plan. She pinky promises Abigail no one will hurt her. She asks Joey how Justin is and what does he like in reference to her son. She tells Joey they made a mistake. Her dad doesn't care about her. Abigail tells Joey she's sorry for what's about to happen to her. And, some red flags might go up after that. The others are drinking and playing games as Joey tells Frank her father may be a violent man. Frank goes in Abigail's room with his face uncovered and panics, realizing she's not blindfolded anymore. He pulls a gun on her and asks his eye color and who her father was. He's alerted, hearing it's Christophe Lazar. Frank tells the others he's out and tells them who her father is. Sammy suggests giving the daughter back and, saying sorry. Frank says to pretend they don't know who the father is and get their money and start a new life. He tells them the rules and they divvy up to protect the house. Rickles tells Joey he doesn't trust the others and asks Joey to watch each other's back as she walks away after a sensual stare. Sammy turns on some cartoons until she's jump scared by Dean behind her in bed. She snaps on his ass saying she ain't looking at him and kicks him out the room. Dean goes on an exploration of the house and is weirded out by some paintings. Dean, just like me for real, scared by a big-ass rat. Dean is suddenly snatched by his legs and pulled away by an unseen figure. Sammy goes to check on him and grows wary, not finding him in this secluded part of the house. She goes back to the kitchen and he's sitting at the table, but she's terrified when Dean's head falls off of his shoulders and into her hands. Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think? And it is sad that he passed away before we get that Mac Miller biopic, because now Timothée Chalamet is going to have to do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, production design of the whole place is pretty awesome, in my opinion. All the Easter eggs, the hints at all the old victims that came before. Susie Cullen, no relation to Edward. Twilight reference for you, Mike. Shout it out since that's your favorite movie. Don't mind her, though. Only 3 nominations over her career for Best Production Design. And rather than filming predominantly in a studio, the production team used the famous Guinness Manor in Dublin, Ireland. A lot of this set of scenes is basically showing that interior off. Man, it looked great, but it did drag a little bit. And look, all the characters are great. But can we just be honest and say that Alicia really is a standout in this movie? She is why this works so well. She even said that she played Abigail 2 ways, one being the innocent version and obviously the other being Abigail. And you can see her performance change when she does. She actually has a very English accent, and you would never know. She said she learned the American accent from watching movies. So the first back and forth between her and Melissa, especially watching the second or third go around, is even more impressive to me. She's unbelievable. Just turning that on whenever. And it's like the, I'm sorry, what's going to happen to you? And the music cue. That was fantastic. And of course, if you don't know, you could think she's talking about her dad just being some big badass, which obviously he is. But, they think, and not the vampire twist, of course. So I think that plays both ways and works very well no matter what time you're watching it. Another nitpick of unbelievability, though, is Joey being attracted to Rickles. And that may sound stupid of me, but if that was in the script, I'm not sure why they cast William Catlett here. No offense to Mr. Catlett, but that's just not believable to me. Either take that out of the script. Actually, you know what? Just take that out of the script.
Because how are you going to say no offense and then say the most offensive thing you can say to the guy?
Because that's the only time you say no offense, I thought. Anyway, because if Joey was going to shoot down that advance anyway because she's a, quote, professional, then why'd you even walk up there in the first place? So I didn't like that. I wish they would have just cut that whole thing. Melissa tried to sell the sexual tension, but it just didn't work for me. What did work for me, though, is a drunk-ass Dean drawing a Peter on a sleeping Peter. That cracked me up. Even if a lot of this set of scenes felt like filler until our first kill with Dean's head falling off. All of our pets' heads are falling off. That's Dumb and Dumber, Nico. Our first kill, and we are off to a great start. Great effects from Martin Fitzpatrick and Debdis Mahanti, special and visual effects supervisors, and their whole teams just throughout the movie.
Abigail being scared here would make the twist a lot better had they not spoiled it in the trailer. But really solid acting from Alicia Weir, and a really good line when she says she's sorry for what's going to happen to Joey. That'll send chills down your spine. Dean cracked me up with how he was watching Sammy and Peter. He looked so jealous. The whole subplot of Joey and Rickles having sexual tension was very misplaced and odd to me. Not necessarily because of the casting of him, but it's just it felt forced for the sake of having a romantic angle. Because there was no build to it, and then it was never addressed again. It was just here's this. Forget it ever happened.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Dean being in Sammy's bed was a funny jump scare. He's hilarious. And then him drawing a pecker on Peter's face, that was great too. Like, I laughed so hard. And I did read that, but Angus Cloud had to, part of the pre-production involved having Angus Cloud draw a series of dicks, which were then sent to filmmakers so they could choose the style that would end up on his face.
I didn't know that. That shit's funny.
it makes me think of Jonah Hill from Superbad.
Yes.
Like, he just sat around drawing dicks all day.
Yes. And
imagine getting paid for that, though. It's like, all right, spend the next 30 minutes just drawing a bunch of peckers. Like, that's funny. There is some decent tension here with because everyone who's awake is on high alert after establishing that her father is dangerous. But honestly, a rat would have been enough to send me running, so I would have been got like Dean was. Or I wouldn't have got like Dean was. Like, I would have been out of there because the doors aren't locked yet. I'm gone. Great effects on Dean's severed head for our first kill, and it was shocking. Like, I like the reveal. He's just sitting at the table, and then his head fell off. It's really well done. We're moving along.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like mice at all, man. Peter wakes up in the chair hearing Sammy puking. He asks what happened, and she yells for him to go get the others. Frank says it looked like a wild animal ripped him apart. Rickles tells a Lazar story. Decapitation is his signature move. All the others go check on Abigail while Joey and Frank debate on possible scenarios how they got figured out. Rickles says he's out and tries to leave the front door, but it's got an extra door that's impenetrable. Peter runs full speed into it and does nothing. And fun fact, I met Kevin Durant too. He's super nice as well. Suddenly, the house's windows all lock up, and Joey goes to ask Abigail some questions. She whips out the old pinky promise again and asks if she's keeping any secrets. Abigail cries, saying the man with glasses will hurt her, and his name is Valdez. Rickles says his gun was stolen and is furious finding out Frank is Valdez. Joey and Rickles team up to get out together. Rickles goes in her room and freezes up. Joey sees his throat and face mangled and is on high alert. Joey has Sammy take her to Frank at gunpoint and asks Frank why he did it. Frank plays mind games on Joey, saying he's not Valdez, and Peter goes to Abigail's room to rough her up and get some answers. Shit is hitting the fan, and suddenly Abigail takes her cuffs off real smooth-like. She stands up and reveals her vampire teeth. She goes to bite Peter, and Frank shoots her in the dome. They all panic and run out the room, shutting the door behind them. Peter cracks me up, thankful Valdez isn't here, until Frank snaps, saying she is Valdez. The four begin discussing tactics to kill vampires, and Frank takes the lead of the charge. He has Peter sharpen pool sticks into stakes, Sammy go get some garlic, and Joey thinks he's messing up. Sammy, those are fucking onions. Great line, and it makes me laugh every time. It got a big pop out of me at the theater. The three, minus Joey, go upstairs with steaks and garlic to find Abigail, but she's not in the room anymore. We hear the ballerina music play, and they head to it. They find Abigail dancing with Dean's decapitated corpse. She drops the body and tries to bargain, but she jumps on Sammy, snatching the garlic from her. Abigail fights Peter and Frank off and stabs Peter repeatedly with his cross emblem. She stabs Frank through the leg with a stake. Them boys got their ass whooped. Brian, what'd you think?
Truth. The seriousness of finding Dean with his head having fallen off up against Peter walking in with a dick drawn on his face. So that's the kind of humor that cracks me up in this, with Peter and Newton's line delivery of being just such a mixture of terror from finding the head and calling out the dick. That's just funny as hell to me. Also Peter running full speed into the gate, which, by the way, who the fuck goes to a 2-door entryway and opens both doors at the same time like some big grand exit? Nobody does that. Come on. But Peter running full speed into it and saying, it's locked. That's great. I also can't tell if he can't say Rickles and is saying wrinkles, or the subtitles just picks it up as wrinkles.
I thought the same thing.
Well.
Yeah.
It works either way. Like, I don't know, but it's
funnier to me. It's funnier for me to think that since he's from Quebec and French is his first language, like, he thinks it's wrinkles. It's funnier to me that way.
Rickles' death was great too. Like, not great in the sense that we didn't see it, not all, but more like that we get the whole conversation between he and Joey, and hell, the convo even pumped me up watching it. And you're like, oh shit, okay, here we go. Nope, dead. Now, he stood there too fucking long for the suspense of Joey walking up to that. I mean, it is what it is, but in the running for worst kill, though, I'll say that. Also, where's the damn blood? I mean, that just happened, and it's not like we have some shortage of blood on this movie. I mean, did we use the blood budget for, like, later on? I don't know. But same issue I had with Dean's, but I did let that go because it wasn't happening, or it didn't happen right in front of us. Now, the Mexican standoff here in the room, I'm not sure if that's a Mexican standoff, but I'm calling it that, with Abigail, won me over. I'm like, she's not going to kill me, Glenn Cox. I could be wrong. I love his writing so much, but I also love the reveal. Like, it's almost funny. It's almost like Abigail just getting tired and bored, and you see Alicia's face just go from scared and crying to just blank. Like, she's like, okay, fuck this. It's time. That's so damn good. The rest of this is Peter just killing me. I thought her name was Abigail. Well, what do we know about vampires? They're not real. Chef's kiss. It was just funny.
Yeah.
And the absolute best line in the movie, like Nico said, Sammy, those are fucking onions. I love this movie so much. I wrote. Last thing is about this dancing scene. The directors were so impressed by Alicia Ware's dancing that they added more dance sequences to the film. Tyler and Matt said that when she's dancing with Dean's body and puts its hand on her face and just looks at it, they said that was all Alicia, and that she just did that during rehearsal and that they loved it. Like, the girl's so damn good. She's the future. Her and McKenna Grace are going to tear up Hollywood through the years. Mark my words.
Yeah, I like that Sammy's first question to Peter was, why do you have a dick on your face? Like, Dean is dead. You just caught his head like it was a fade route. And your first instinct is to ask about that. That was hilarious. Good tension as the group walks through the house, and then the windows start to get barricaded. I like the subplot here of suspecting that Frank is Valdez. It adds to the mystery and intrigue. But it would have been better not knowing that Abigail's a vampire. Again, trailers suck. Great kill of Rickles. It happened so quietly and quickly that it even, it made it even more impactful. And then Peter, yeah, you said it, cracked me up again. When Frank asked if they knew what Joey was talking about, and he just repeated what she said, I think she thinks that you brought us here to kill us. That was so funny. And then, again, when he said that Joey wasn't going to kill them, but when Joey cocked the gun, he goes, I might be wrong, Frank. I guess he's so funny to me. Then we get the reveal of what Abigail really is. Man, the trailer ruined it. That would have been an incredible surprise. I mean, it basically was for me, but when it happened, that's when I did remember the trailer. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is a vampire movie. Another funny moment when Joey asked, what do we know about vampires? And Sammy started listing the different kinds of vampires. Twilight mentioned. Can't wait to review that franchise.
No.
And, of course, you can't deny me.
Okay, Mike.
And, of course, she's involved in one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie when she brings the bag of onions. That was funny. Probably the most iconic line. Abigail dancing with Dean's headless corpse was funny too, as was the ensuing fight scene. I laughed several times. The deranged way that she smeared Peter's blood on her face, that was great. And like you said, that was Alicia Weir's idea, so great call, kiddo. Solid set of scenes here.
Yeah, Frank, he goes full Axel from Friday 4, cussing up a storm in pain, being helped down the stairs. Joey takes a stake out of Frank and tells him the syringe of drugs is the only weapon they know works on her. Sit here and bleed or trust me. The four split up and look through the house for Abigail. Sammy is scared by some bats and falls into a pool of corpses and sludge. Peter fights a splinter in his finger until Abigail appears and pursues him. Frank opens the door and accidentally knocks Peter's big ass over the ledge of stairs. Abigail pushes Frank down the stairs and grabs him, asking what color her eyes are. I thought that was a great line. She knocks the syringe from Joey's hand and she bites Sammy's arm. Peter pulls a Rob Van Dam and leaps from the staircase and knocks her to the ground. Joey gets the needle and injects her with a quickness. Sammy is worried, asking what's going to happen to her since she got bit. Abigail awakes, locked up in a cage, and tells Sammy she may become a vampire. Frank apologizes and Abigail says she planned all this. She spills all the tea on their past, and Joey calls her out on her father not loving her. Peter pulls a gun out to try and save Abigail to protect his own life. He goes to open the gate, but Joey shoots him in the side. Sammy refuses to stay down there alone with her. Abigail says the offer still stands, and he doesn't buy it. She tells him how to get out, but he must immediately let her out afterwards. Abigail laughs at Frank and pushes the door off the hinges. Joey makes it back just in time and bashes the boards on the wall, causing sunlight, I guess, to burn her arm off so the two can escape. All right, Brian, so next set of scenes, what'd you think?
I actually love Abigail's design as well. Tyler did an interview with Empire about Abigail's design and specifically her teeth. We talked about her teeth a lot. He said we wanted them to look more primal and animal than usual vampire fangs. Abigail's are kind of teeth on top and teeth like a shark's mouth, those apex predators. When they open their mouth, you see that they're designed to inflict as much damage as possible. I thought it was a very 30 Days of Night-esque vampire design. And you know how much I love that movie. Pretty sure that was my second ever pick on the show. I do want to put that up for a re-review.
Yep, doesn't exist. Possible. I wasn't on it.
Yep, there you go. Dustin needs to do it. And god damn, this pool of bodies is fucking disgusting too. Apparently, Catherine Newton had to actually perform that vat for real. In the special features, the production team revealed that it was a real pool that was filled with 40 corpse dummies that were all dressed to look like real decaying humans. And in that whole soup was all kinds of just material to make the water look just putrid. God bless Catherine for that one. Whew. Now, the first thing Peter said that I didn't like here, the Splinter line. Like, cut that shit. Like, it was forced. I didn't need that. And not Splinter the Ninja Turtles rat. I meant Splinter stuck in his finger. We have, panic about the bodies in the pool and then that. It just, I don't know, that one just didn't work for me. Now, have him have a Splinter, that's fine. But over the speaker, nah. Also, she's busting through walls. So can I ask why, if Abigail is so strong, she had to dislocate her hands to get out of those handcuffs at the start of the movie and couldn't just break them? And also, can I ask why her hair was blowing as she started to fly with Frank? I don't know. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either. This whole fight scene with Frank and Abigail and trying to get to the shot, it just, I don't know, it didn't work for me. And how is Peter able to hold her down? Like, she just walked through a door and threw people around with one arm. Like, the only real part of this movie where I was like, well, that's not going to get a 10. It also seems like sort of continuity issue with it being night, then day, then night. And it's like supposed to be between, I thought, 3:30 and 5:30, but Joey said she's waiting for it to get dark. Like, did they stay in the fucking library all day? Like, just seems very weird and fucked up in that regard. But I'll end on a good note, though. I like Abigail outing them all, though, like who they really are. And I'm sorry. If I'm Peter, I would have done the same thing. I would have let her out.
Yeah, Sammy shushing of Frank when he said the garlic didn't work. That was another subtly funny bit.
That was great.
But even funnier was when Peter said, "Not that I'm even looking," and Frank said, "Channel still open, dick face." Like, that was so funny to me. Sammy falling in the pit of muck and dead bodies was disgusting. I'd rather just die at that point. No amount of showers would ever make me feel clean again. Peter's scream because of the splinter. See, I kind of disagree with you, Brian. I did think that was funny because it was a false scare. He screamed, "We don't see what happened." And they didn't believe his second scream when Abigail was really there. So it set that up nicely. It's like the boy who cried wolf. I thought Abigail doing the ballerina moves in pursuit of Peter, that was a good touch. Sammy getting bit, that was a tense moment because it adds the concern of, oh my God, is she going to turn now? And if The Walking Dead has taught me anything, it's that they should have cut her arm off immediately. Great form from Peter on his tackle. He brought the hips, he wrapped up. Pre-2008 Monday Night Countdown on ESPN would have had Abigail on jacked up. Huge. Huge mistake from the group by not chaining Abigail up when she was sedated. I mean, putting her in the cage, that's one thing, but they should have chained her too. Sammy's meltdown when Abigail said maybe was also hilarious. She said maybe. Like, that was funny. Big time revelation when Abigail says that Lambert works for her and says that she brought them all there, and then she runs down the crew. It's a big eye-opener as to what's really going on. Peter asking which two was funny and a good way to break up the seriousness of the moment. And it was also funny when Joey shot him. He said, on the way out, I didn't really hear, it's very quiet, but the subtitles, I caught it. He said, "Getting shot hurts, Sammy." Like, that's funny. I'm sorry. Yeah. Everything he does was just funny for me. I like that they kept one of the classic vampire tropes with the sunlight being the thing that damages them. The crucifix didn't work. The garlic didn't work. I like that the sunlight does. Onward we go.
They make it to the library, and Sammy hesitantly puts her body into the sunlight. She's relieved not being affected. Frank finds a book but snaps, realizing there was no trap door. Joey starts looking for secret passages and tells him to stay in the light. She finds a hollow area in the wall and tries to Y2J and break the walls down. Yeah. She sits down in the exhaustion as Sammy sits beside her, telling her she's scared and questions her about her son. Joey admits she took this job to reset her life with the money, and Frank isn't buying it. He says it's an excuse, and Sammy has an epiphany to reset the power source so they can get out the house. Peter comforts Sammy and says they're going to find the power source so they can get out. Abigail turns on a record, and Sammy's bite wound heals, and she's taken over by Abigail. Peter realizes Sammy is gone until she springs out of nowhere and bites his neck fatally. Sammy bites his neck again and drinks of his blood. Blood and tears play on the record as Abigail and Sammy dance. Joey and Frank find Sammy hovering Peter, and they ask what happened. Joey tells her to come over, and Sammy reveals her fangs, and they take off running. Sammy says she hates his room from all the painful memories, but it's not too late to make new ones. She runs at them, but Joey uses the pan to reflect light at Sammy, exploding her. A bookcase randomly opens, and the two go check it out, knowing it's a trap. They find Lambert, who grabs Joey and presses her to the wall. Abigail turned him 2 years ago. He offers Frank a deal. Help him kill Abigail. Total autonomy. Lazar is on the way. Kill the girl, kill the father, take over the whole empire. Frank agrees, and Lambert bites his neck. Frank drinks the blood and begins vomiting blood everywhere. Lambert tells Frank to meet his first victim, but he stabs Lambert through the chest with a stake, killing him. And I got a bit of an issue with that, and I'll touch on that later. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, really? All right. I mean, was Frank wrong with what he said to Joey about owning her shit and go be a mother? Like, was he wrong? Absolutely not. Quit being a victim. Plus, when Peter went with Sammy and Frank called them the fucking dream team, that cracked my ass up. I love that. I love Sammy's turn-in, though. Like, Newton is also... She's also a professional dancer because, of course, she is. Like, who's trained in ballet and dance since she was young. So for this sequence where Abigail mentally takes over Sammy's body and has her dance, Newton, and as a little fun fact here, Newton and choreographer Belinda Murphy worked out a full dance routine. Newton then presented the three dance to the directors, assuming that they might capture a piece of it using the film. Instead, Matt and Tyler filmed the whole sequence and used all of it to show the power of Abigail and her appreciation of dancing as a weapon. Blood and Tears by Danzig is the song playing during that. And while she was ripping out Peter's neck, I thought it was a cool choice from Matt and Tyler to kind of do that. And also the way that they shot the statues with the sounds of Peter dying in the background, it was almost like the statues were watching them. I thought that stood out to me. I thought that was kind of cool. Having the smoke coming off of her and the cuts back and forth was also a great effect and as well. Now, Sammy's exploding. Hell, all the exploding vampires' bodies. Definitely reminiscent of Radio Silence's OG, Ready or Not. Love that movie as well. We reviewed it, episode 192, don'tgooutthere.com. I think it's kind of funny, though, how Joey uses the tray to block all of the blood when she eventually ends up just covered in it, like at the end of Scream 6. And lastly, I do like the little twist with Lambert showing up, having watched the whole thing. Very House on Haunted Hill-esque there with the control room and that whole thing. Having Frank turn and then kill Lambert was another nice little twist. I thought it was kind of dumb that Lambert didn't just kill Joey, though. Like, he had no use for her. That's a huge plot hole to me. The blood hitting the camera, though, as Frank was puking, was great. Unexpected, great little touch, I thought.
Yeah, the dramatic emphasis on "and then there were none," all for it to be a wet fart. That was kind of funny. That book was intentionally chosen to show that Abigail is misleading Frank. Agatha Christie's "And Then There Was None" is a story about a group of strangers locked in a remote house getting picked off one by one, not dissimilar to what's happening to the characters in this movie. And in real life, Dan Stevens also narrated an edition of that book, so that's kind of cool. I got a good laugh at Sammy flipping Frank off. Like, he was being a real a-hole, and the way that she flipped him off was hilarious. The scene where Abigail takes Sammy over, well, that was intense and well shot. I like that we hear the voice and see what's happening while Peter's just oblivious. And then, R.I.P. my guy Peter, man. He didn't deserve it. Catherine Newton, you mentioned she's also a professional dancer, so it's really cool that they included that in the film. I really like how her skin was smoking, showing that the little daylight that's coming through the boards on the wall, that was affecting her. And an incredible vampiric explosion when Joey used the glare to kill her. Just incredible stuff. Even though the twist of Abigail being a vampire was given away in the trailer, the Lambert twist was well executed. Not only is he a bad guy, but he's a vampire too. Good stuff. And then pretty nasty stuff when Frank projectiles the blood. But another great twist when he kills Lambert. Never let him know your next move. That's the vibes I got from this set of scenes. So I'm ready for the finish.
Yep, here's the ending. "I feel fucking great," Frank says as Joey grabs his stake. He tells her to run until he hears Abigail enter the room. Our game ends here as she runs to Frank, who catches her and bites her neck. Joey resets the system and makes a run for it. However, she's trapped at a locked door and grabs her phone to call her son. She gets got by the voicemail, and P.S. I hate these kind of voicemails. Fuck off. She tells Caleb she loves him so much, is proud of him, and the one good thing she did in life. Frank appears in the distance, and the two squabble. He tosses her to the ground and calls her a fucking junkie. He tosses her ass into the upstairs bookshelf and chokes her. Joey fights back until she's body slammed over and over. Frank holds her over the ledge and drops her, but she's caught by Abigail after being told she was going to be his puppet and kill her son. Abigail asks for her to help her kill him. The two handicap tag team Frank and get the upper hand momentarily. Frank stabs a stake through Joey's shoulder area, pinning her to a beam. Abigail hits some razzle-dazzle high-flying moves until Frank grabs her and bites her neck again. Abigail sticks the pinky promise in the air and Frank heads back to Joey. He rips her off the spike and bites her neck, tossing her to the ground. He grabs a stake and places it by Joey, saying he wants to play his game. Frank orders Joey up and to kill the girl. She disobeys and Abigail jumps on his back. Joey gets a stake out the beam and cracks his neck. Joey and Abigail team up to shove the stake through his heart. Abigail tells Joey she's fine now that Frank is dead. Abigail tells Joey she hopes she gets her son back and mentions all that she has to do is show up. Lazar appears grabbing Joey, who falls to the ground. Abigail begs her father to spare Joey. She was there to save her when you weren't. Lazar's lips quiver and says he's here now. Lazar kisses Joey's hand and says she should leave. It's getting close to dinner time. Joey walks out the house saying, "What the fuck?" which I thought was funny. She gets in the van, takes a few breaths, and finds her lollipop from earlier and drives away. And the film ends with "In loving memory of Angus Cloud." Brian, what do you think about the ending?
Yeah, I thought that was great too. In the last set of scenes when Lambert exploded, though, Melissa said in an interview that she had no idea how much blood was going to be thrown everywhere. She said that she had it up her nose, got some in her mouth. It was everything she could do to not ruin the take. Now, for all the good Alicia did in this movie, when Frank bit her and she passed out on the floor, did anyone else notice that she just fell over like a kid does in movies, had her hand on her arm, like in the softest, non-believable fall ever? And I love Matt and Tyler, but having Joey take the beating she did and still be able to fight back, I think it's just kind of eye-rolling. I mean, that's a whole movie trope, though, in general, but no way she should have been able to even attempt to fight back. But to that, even why is Joey holding Frank for Abigail instead of just stabbing him with the stake? Like, I don't know. Great effects on Frank pulling Joey off the stake, too. I will say that as well. Why does Frank keep doing Frank Says when his real name is Adam? That seems like a miss to me. I feel like that he would say Adam Says instead of Frank, but whatever. And we meet Matthew Good as, I guess, Dracula. Another fun fact, Barrera said in an interview that her experience working with Matt and Guy on the Scream movies was she was the one who primed Good when he came into the mix. He asked her, like, having read the script, what is this fucking movie? Like, what is the tone of this thing? And Melissa told him, don't worry, just do the weirdest, craziest thing you can think of, and they'll love it. It'll be great. Talking about Matt and Tyler loving it. I mean, you know how I would have liked to have seen this end? Joey turned into a vampire. Like, I've said that before, being a vampire would be awesome, so that's a happy ending to me. But even with all the issues I've had, still love it.
Yeah. So it was good when Frank bit Abigail, but why didn't Joey drive the stake through him while he was preoccupied? Like, she didn't even try. And that really frustrated me because we saw, Lambert died when he was distracted. So why didn't she even try? She just, I don't know. And I like the emotional voicemail that she left for her son, but she was a sitting duck. That frustrated me too. She runs away from the vampires, but then just goes and finds a little spot that's not even hiding and just sits there. Man, he really did a number on her. He tossed her around like a rag doll. I haven't seen a woman get thrown through tables like that since ECW. Good showdown between Abigail, Joey, and Frank here. And I got a good laugh when Abigail dropkicked Frank, which sent Joey flying through another table. Just the way her body flew was hilarious. Absolutely brutal when Frank pulled Joey off the stake. Like, that hurt me to watch. Something I don't get, though, is that he bites her on the neck, but she has no bite mark. That really bothered me. I remember when I saw it in the theater, I was like, wait, didn't he just bite her on the neck? There's nothing there. And we get another good twist with Joey not being a puppet. That was tense for a few moments, but they did a good job. When Abigail controlled Sammy, Sammy's eyes looked like Abigail's, but Joey's eyes never changed to look like, what's his name, Frank's. So it was kind of there all along. We could see that she wasn't a puppet. And his explosion was incredible too. So much blood. And I like that it's revealed that when the vampire that turns you dies, you're reverted back to human. And we get a touching moment between Abigail and Joey that was really well done right before Lazar shows up to give us a final moment of tension, which, Brian, you called him Dracula. Actually, he's not, because the directors considered making him even more feared by saying in the film that he killed Dracula. Like, they were going to have him say that he killed Dracula 200 years ago, but they resisted and chose to make their own vampire story so it was more distinguishable from the others. And then the last thing I got is, I guess that was it. Just a solid ending to a really fun movie.
I just assumed he was Dracula since they were remaking basically Dracula's daughter. So I just assumed that's who that was. But
I did too. When I saw it in theater, I had that. I was of the same. I was like, okay, it's Dracula. I get it. He's the main one. But then I read that fun fact and I was like, oh, okay, so I guess he's not.
All right, let's jump over to our social media comments and questions. I'll knock out the gram first. Fizzy Lizzy 777 comment: would you guys want a sequel of Abigail and Joey together? Personally, I'm good with a one and done. Personally,
I'm
this
good with
fine.
one and done. You know how I feel about dragging sequels on, but they left it open. Like I could see it. Abigail Joey gets us in trouble and has to ask Abigail for help. I can definitely see it. Hopefully not though.
Yeah, I could see it, but I don't think it made enough money that they would justify it. Yeah. Kevin Scanlon 653 commented, teammate of the show: I absolutely loved Abigail. The vampire subgenre isn't necessarily a favorite of mine. I agree with you, brother. But there are a handful that rank very high for me, and this is one of them. I agree with that too. This is a fun one. And the last comment we got is from Jake Goldstein. As far as vampire movies go, what would you rather watch more, Abigail or Nosferatu? I can't lie. I never would have thought I'd believe this, but I probably would rather watch Abigail.
Yeah, same. Nosferatu.
I never would have thought
seen it yet.
Nosferatu is a fine movie. It's just like we talked about on our instant reaction. I wanted more from it than what I got. So
yeah, it's more of like a gothic love story than it is a vampire movie.
And this one's so fun that, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a good time. Brian, you got the old Book of Faces pulled up?
I do. Christina Tower said, "Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fun, entertaining, and gory. Melissa Barrera was great, and the little girl who played Abigail was super creepy. The only complaint I have is that I wish the vampire ballerina was left to kind of be a surprise and the trailer didn't give it away." Yeah, I feel that for sure. It would have made it more surprising as the audience, were trying to figure out what was happening at the same time as the characters. Otherwise, good pick and looking forward to your review. Stay safe, guys. And Cole Milk Alexander said, absolutely loved this movie. Had my doubts, but gave it a shot. Glad I did. Fun fact, I met Kevin Durant in Hawaii over the summer. Super cute, cool human.
Awesome. I want to have him on the show.
Who, Cole Milk Alexander?
Well, him. But,
or Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant. If Easy Money Sniper wants to come on, that's fine too.
Why not?
I've got X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Andrew Ferguson said the trailer took all the juice out of the movie. Seems to be a popular opinion.
Yeah.
And that guy, Millhouse14108, said, had a lot of fun with this movie. Good action and good pacing. I do wish the trailer didn't give away that she was a vampire feasting on the cast. That would have been an awesome twist to experience while watching. Overall, good film with good gore and cast. 6.5 out of 10. Love the show. Appreciate that.
All right, let's jump to our fun facts. Dustin, Brian, you got any fun facts you want to share?
Yes, sir. One of Angus Cloud's final roles, like we talked about, although production wasn't completed until months after his death due to the writer's strike, Cloud had filmed all of his scenes before production was shut down. He had signed an autograph, which was the Cloud drawing seen above that whole dedication, for a crew member during his time on set. And Melissa Barrera had it printed out on T-shirts for the cast and crew while filming Wrapped. And I was just looking at that autograph period. That's a really cool autograph.
Yeah. Rest in peace. I think you may have said this one, Brian, but I can't remember. The opening title music is the main theme from Tchaikovsky's ballet Swan Lake, which made its curtain call March 4th, 1877 at Moscow's Bolshoi Theater, and which was used in the opening title of Dracula 1931. So that's cool. Abigail is a Hebrew name for my father's joy. So great call picking that name. Like there's meaning behind it. So that was cool. This movie contains 224 uses of the F word and its derivatives. Who's keeping count?
Love it.
In an extended and deleted scene at the end, the surprise appearance of Lazar was a little longer than what made it to the final cut and a little more emotional too. The extended scene shows Lazar threaten and mock Joey and then quietly acknowledges that maybe Abigail has really needed him to be more present than he's been. And then I got the budget since Mike's not with us tonight. Budget for this movie was an estimated $28 million. It would go on to do $42,791,449. So not a box office smash, but it did okay. It got its money back.
Oh, yeah. Y'all want to jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating? I'll go first. Favorite kill, I thought like the violence and gore overall was good, but I didn't think any of the kills really stood out too much. But I will go with Sammy just because I really like her transformation scene, like her suddenly blowing up from the glare. I thought that was cool. I'm a big Catherine Newton fan too. Like I just like her. I want to see a new movie with her, Lisa Frankenstein, pretty soon as well. Least favorite kill, I'm going to go with Rickles just because we didn't see what happened to him. Like he just froze up in a room, then he's got his face all messed up. This is a fun movie. Great cast. It's funny. The gore is fun. The strong point to me is really just the comedy with the characters, the camaraderie. Dan Stevens, I know I said in our instant reaction he was my favorite. Kevin Durant is hilarious too. Sammy is great. Catherine Newton. I really just got a few qualms, just like why some vampire things still applied, but they wrote out other ones that didn't work. I don't know. That's just a little bit of a nitpick. But something I really want to know, if y'all can explain to me, Abigail tells Joey that she's no longer affected or becoming a vampire because Frank died. Then why didn't Frank change back after he killed Lambert? Because he's the one who bit him. I don't know. Maybe it's because he drank all that blood and turned all the way. I don't know the rules that they made, but that's a nitpick to me. But overall, I still gave the movie a 7.75.
I think that's fair, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's because he drank the blood and he got the full package, as Lambert said.
Hey, yo.
Come on. Let me go ahead and knock mine out. And I'll just say Mike's. Favorite kill to me was Sammy. The way that she exploded was great, and it was funny. So I like that one. Least favorite kill, I don't know, Lambert, I guess. Rickles was up there too, but I like how it was shot because it was unexpected and we hadn't got the twist that she's a vampire yet. So it was just kind of shocking that he died so quickly and quietly. So I'm going to go with Lambert because Abigail showed that she had these superhuman reflexes. The fact that Lambert didn't, or at least, he couldn't sense what was going on around him and he got stabbed in the back like that. I think that's my least favorite. I don't know. They're all pretty good. As far as my rating and final thoughts, I loved it enough to have it number 4 on my list of favorite horror movies from 2024, but I also recognize that it's not perfect, like I've mentioned in the review. It's definitely something that has a lot of rewatchability, though, and something that you can just throw on and not have to pay attention to every little detail. It's a fun watch. I give it an 8.75, and Mike gave it an 8.
Okay, yeah, my favorite kill, probably Dean's head just falling off. I'm not real sure, honestly. The least favorite kill, though, was Rickles. I agree with you on that one. Because even when it showed him, I didn't, like I said, I didn't like the fact that it didn't have blood, but I couldn't even really tell what happened to his face. It almost looked like it was burned or something. I don't know. It didn't look ripped up like it should have been. Anyway, for all the problems and nitpick I have, I still love this movie. It's fun as shit. I gave it a 9.25.
All right. That gives us a composite score of 8.4375. Internet Movie Database didn't love it. They got it at a 6.6. But Rotten Tomatoes, this is one of those rare cases where the critics liked it more than the fans, and we side with the critics. They give it an 83%, and it's 3.1 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Huh. That is rare.
I think most people are just upset about that trailer reveal. I mean, I don't think that's too big of a nitpick, just considering, like, if you're going to spoil it, like, you got to have, like, good performances, comedy, and all that other stuff to balance it out. And I think it did that. Any final thoughts on Abigail before I shout out our blood donors and I'll announce my pick for next week?
Nope.
All right, let's shout out these blood donors. Legendary blood donor Dana Tucker. I don't know how many times you donated, but we really appreciate it. The GOAT. Camper Level Reoccurring, Nina, Horror Movie Crew Podcast, Alex Seligson, Chris Manley, Michelle Mirza and Steve Schmidt. Camp counselor reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez-Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis from Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, Max K, and Madison Arzola. Really appreciate y'all. It takes a huge burden off us, helps us pay these bills. If you want to become a blood donor, just go to our website and join up. I just bought Smile 2, the Steel Book. We're going to be reviewing that movie in a couple weeks. Just going to go ahead and spoil that. I got a digital code I'm going to give away to our blood donors if anybody wants it. So if you want to join, you can enter to win a free digital code for Smile 2. Let me announce my pick for next week. Me and Mike swap. Since it's my birthday next week, we're going to do my pick and my birthday bonus the same week. This was my number 2 horror movie of the year last year. It could easily be number 1. I love both movies, but I'm going with the Hugh Grant-led Heretic. This movie, man, I'm super excited to deep dive into it. This movie unsettled me like crazy opening night. I can't wait to discuss it with these guys. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, fellas?
Yeah, what studio gave us Heretic?
A24.
Okay, yeah, I support that pick.
Wow.
Thanks, brother. See y'all next week.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody,